The following program contains names, places, and events that have been anonymized or fictionalized for the purposes of protection and safety. The following program is provided for entertainment purposes only, and any commentary from the hosts are strictly conjecture and should not be held as making any definitive statements about the truth or identity of any particular individuals or circumstances. If you or a loved one are involved in an abusive relationship, please call the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-7233 for support.
Happy Monday! It's Dating Detectives Monday, you guys.
We have quite a story
For you today. We have a story for you every week, duh.
Yeah, but our guest today is special.
He's a dude!
We don't get a lot of those on here.
We don't get a lot of guys.
And not for lack of trying.
Yeah, we always wonder, why don't guys tell their stories more? And I really liked talking to this guest today, and I think you guys will really like him too. He's very well-spoken, and we kind of get into that a little bit. So I think you'll like it, but I want to also firstly thank you guys for being here and for writing in and telling us your stories, and also just for being so supportive of our guests. So I think you'll do the same with our guest today.
And thank you so much for sharing our show. We'll talk about it, but a really special thing with Nick, our guest, he found out about us through somebody helping him through his journey. It was like, hey, you got to listen to this podcast, and it's helped him. So keep sharing, and it means the world, not just to us. But yeah, what else is going on? Merch. If you want to really rep the show.
Merch. Dating Detectives. The new Dating Detectives merch is available through Wednesday.
Just Wednesday.
Yeah.
It's in the link is in the show notes.
Mm-hmm.
We've got some fun stuff. We've got hats, mugs. We've got safety
sweatsuit.
alarms, the sweatsuit, the t-shirt. And there will be, we'll do more stuff down the road. But right now, this is all we got. And until Wednesday. So get it while it's hot.
Get it while it's hot. And also, our Patreoners got first access to the merch, which I think is so cool. If you're not a Patreoner yet, it's only $5 a month to join. And just a quick note, we find that some of the people that are signing up for the Patreon, it's charging $7.50. We are investigating and getting to the bottom of it. It should be only $5. So
thank you for letting us know.
Yeah, so we're our very great team of Molly is looking into it.
Well, actually, we've reached out to Patreon. I know she has.
Yeah.
Let's if anyone knows anyone at Patreon, please let us know, because we're trying to get a hold of them. But yeah, if it says $7.50, let us know, because it shouldn't.
But anyways, when you sign up for the Patreon, you get the 2 bonus episodes a month, and you get things like early access to merch. And then we have a live monthly where we can go live and connect with each other. And we have the book club.
Book club. We're reading The Perfect Marriage by Geneva Rose.
Just finished it today.
You did? Oh my gosh, I can't wait to talk to you about it.
I know. It's going to be so cool. I cannot wait. It's going to be awesome.
I have a friend who gave it to me, and then I got my boyfriend's whole, his dad read it. I think his dad's coming to book club. I'm like, this is the episode of more men getting into the Dating Detectives, y'all. Let's go. Shout out to our male listeners, because we need all of you on board in this hunt for Dogfish. Shall we?
Are you ready to get into it?
Oh, well, I guess we should just warn people. This story definitely gets into some deep mental health moments that are really tough. And I'm just very grateful he's so transparent about his whole experience and how it affected him.
We kind of talk about it a lot, where people talk about how they get to a point where they feel they're not worthy of this life anymore. And so that is a good trigger warning to put out there, that this guy got to the point where he was having a hard time. So just to let you guys know. But yeah, I'm dying for you guys to hear his story.
We love Nick.
Yeah.
Let's turn it over to him.
Let's do it. So Nick, will you please start at the beginning? We need to know all the things. Take it away.
Okay. Well, I'm just a kid that's freshly out of high school. I went away to college, kind of wasted a year there. Wasn't really getting anywhere, didn't know what I want to do in life, but I still had some other buddies, really close high school friends that went to the state college that was, about equal distance away from home. So I spent a great deal of time down there. And I was basically just still working on my uncle's cattle farm the whole time.
Nice. Molly didn't give us much, but she was like, he's like, farm. I knew we had a farm background, and I was like, oh, I'm reading like a romance novel right now. I wonder if this is a farmer character.
Definitely, for sure, farm boy. Grew up on a farm and kept working on my uncle's farm. It was a way bigger operation. So yeah, I did that for probably about 10 years anyways. But, I still had touch with friends here back home that I partied with down at State College. Oh, man. I mean, you want to talk about a good time. I'd load up in the car on Friday night when I got off work, head down there, and I wouldn't come back home till Sunday night because it was just an absolute ride. I mean, you're in your early 20s. That's what you're supposed to do, right?
Yep.
So I just, again, random weekend, I'm at this party, music blaring, drinks everywhere. They had a bar in the foyer, and it was pretty wild. At one point during the party, I just happened to glance. I mean, it's nice outdoors open. I glance over. There's this really cute blonde chick standing in the doorway. She's got her arms crossed behind her back, and she's talking to somebody. And just as I glanced over, so I'm talking to somebody, I just noticed she's just staring at me like even mouth open.
Oh,
like, okay. I'm like, interesting.
Giving the eyes.
Interesting. Obviously, she hasn't seen me before. I haven't seen her before. So anyways, I continue on being rowdy, funny, obnoxious, like any young 20-year-old is. And as the night goes on, I just kind of keep glancing over. She's still milling around, but every time I actually notice it's her and I glance over, I'm like, okay, she's still looking at me every time I look. So I was like, okay. I'm like, I am so naive when it comes to that stuff. I mean, you got to hit me with a brick to get me to notice that. But I did notice that. So then I started asking buddies at the party. I'm like, hey, who's that? Who's that cute blonde chick over there? And they're like, oh, that's Jen. She's with your best buddy from high school. I was like, oh. Like, he never said anything about her. But I'm like, okay. So obviously, I'm like, I thought she's really making the eyes, but
off limits.
Yeah, that's my best buddy. I'm not gonna, just kind of horn in and try and spoil something he's got going. So she disappeared at some point, and I continue on with being, a young male, obnoxious, drunk the whole night. Just that was why I was there for the whole weekend. Eventually, I always hung out at my buddy's place, and when I go down there, and obviously we branch out from there, party, bars, stuff like that. And obviously, since they had a thing, she was spending more time there. Obviously, we just became friends by association. She seemed like a really cool chick. Good time, good sense of humor. So we partied the whole time at college together. Obviously, she was always around here and there. I mean, obviously didn't see her every single time I was there, but she was still a frequent person that we went out with.
She was in the crew.
With. So we go through all the college years and stuff like that. And my buddy actually graduated a year ahead of when Jen did. She was a year behind us. And obviously we lost touch. I still stayed in touch with my buddy from school, even though he'd moved off to a larger metropolitan area for his new job. We stayed in contact. He still talks to me. And I hadn't talked to her since school. End up running into her at my buddy's wedding. And
so you guys both went to the same wedding, and you guys both went to the same wedding, and you saw her there.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I was in a relationship at the time. I was there with my date. I ran into her. Obviously, I recognized her right away. She's there. Big smiles. How the hell are you? She introduces me to her boyfriend. I meet him. I'm like, well, hi, And then after that, we just continued on with the night, having a good time. And this wedding would have been the fall of 2007. So...
And when did you meet her? What year was it then?
She would have began school in 2001. So that's probably when I met her for the first time down there.
Okay, so it's been several years now.
Yeah, it's like a little reunion.
Okay, gotcha. You guys know I'm a private investigator. I've been a private investigator for 20 years. So I need you to hear me when I say that your data, like your personal data, is a commodity, right? And your information is out there all willy-nilly on the worldwide interwebs. And anyone on the web can buy your private details, which can lead to identity theft, phishing attempts, harassment, scams. But now you can protect your privacy with Delete Me. Your name, contact info, social security number, home address, information about your family members could all be compiled by data brokers and sold online. Okay. So when I tell you, I know for a fact how easy it is to go on the Google machine and investigate someone. It's out there. Delete Me makes it easy, quick, and safe to remove your personal data online at a time when surveillance and data breaches are common enough to make everyone vulnerable. Privacy is really important to me. Even though I'm a private investigator, I am someone that has an active online presence. So I want to protect myself too. Take control of your data. Keep your private life private by signing up for Delete Me. Now at a special discount for our listeners. Get 20% off your Delete Me plan when you go to joindeleteme.com/datingdetectives and use promo code TDD at checkout. The only way to get 20% off is to go to joindeleteme.com/datingdetectives and enter code TDD at checkout. That's joindeleteme.com/datingdetectives, code TDD.
So obviously we hit it off and we're remembering the old times, reminiscing stuff like that. But anyways, I don't know whether I had her phone number. I very possibly did, or I'd gotten it there and nothing happens. I'm in my own relationships. But either way, whatever reason, I don't know. I must have started calling her or she messaged me. I'm not 1,000% how that started. But a lot of times what would happen was I would go out, have some cocktails with friends or something like that. I'd come home bored, nothing to do. And I just call her up. I'm like,
with feelings or just like kind of chilling, like kind of flirting?
Calling to shoot the breeze. You know,
so no feelings at this point, like honestly.
No, absolutely not. I'm just like, what are you up to?
Yeah.
And then we just talk and, well, I got a few cocktails in me. I'm pretty damn funny.
You're not too bad without them.
I like a funny guy.
She's giggling all the time and stuff like that. But no, it's just good times. And then a week or two would pass, or God, I couldn't even tell you the frequency. It really wasn't that big of a thing, but it kept continuing on. And then I think
having fun.
Yeah.
But she's still with the guy, right?
Yeah, so I'm assuming so. Okay. And then I think we started sending messages back and forth. And then these phone calls and text messages, they just increase in frequency. And I think at some point we're probably texting every single day.
Wow.
And I mean, it's not a giant volume, but it's still just like, she's still just like one of my buds, right? We just talk every day. There's no feelings. There's no sexual innuendo.
The modern day, like, is sending memes. It's just when you like have that person that you're like, I'm just going to send them funny videos and funny memes.
The advent of that, yeah.
Yeah.
And I do remember at one point, she said, well, Mark asked me to marry him. I'm like, shut the front door. And I go, and she goes, well, there's a ring on my finger. I'm like, oh, dude. I'm like, congrats. That's awesome.
So you were genuinely happy for her?
I was. I mean, we were just friends. So I'm like, that's awesome. I'm like, when's the wedding? She's like, no date pics. This is real fresh. She goes, I just had to tell you. I'm like, dude, that's awesome. That's awesome. At some point, even though now she's engaged, I would say, hey, we got this going on. I mean, obviously, she lived in a bigger town about, 90 minutes away from me. And I just live out in the country. But I would say, hey, we're going to go do this weekend, whether it be, we're going to go float the river, or, maybe we're going to go do something in town. Maybe there's an event, stuff like that. I'm like, you want to come out and party? She's like, actually, I am free. And I'm like, well, come out. It's going to be a hoot. So she would come out and she would stay. And
with you?
Yeah. She'd stay here. And again, it was just friends.
And did you ever meet this fiance?
I did. Well, when they were dating, I met them at that wedding in 2007.
Right.
But that was the only time I'd ever met the guy. And I mean, she did talk about him here and there, about stuff that they were doing, etc.
But you guys had never hooked up at this point?
No, okay. Never touched each other, nothing. We vibed and had chemistry and just had the best time all the time. So this continues on for, golly, two years. She would come out every now and then, not a ton, but, a few times during the summer, maybe once during the winter, even if it was awful out here. And we would sometimes it was just us, and we'd watch movies, play drinking games, like kitchen table. And we just had a blast together. We really did. And again, go to bed, don't touch each other. I get up. I'm like, do you got time for breakfast? I make her breakfast. She goes home.
Just friends.
That's so nice of you. That's cool. Okay.
And then we continue on texting. Well, anyways, so now the date for the wedding is picked. I was told October, like Halloween. She was a huge Halloween fan, so she's going to get married on Halloween.
Ooh,
I'm like,
a little spooky
that's
wedding.
Awesome. It would have been about June-ish. And I said, well, you need to get the hell down here for a weekend, a full one, and party with me and all my buddies and have one big old last hoorah for you before you get hitched. And she's like, are you throwing me your own bachelorette party? And I said, yes.
I love that. A bro bachelorette.
Yeah, she comes out and obviously we tear it up and we have a riot. So then obviously we still text every single day, just making each other laugh, having a great time, just whatever. We just vibed so well. And then sometime maybe early fall of that year of 2010, she tells me, she's like, well, that was a weekend I wish I could forget. I'm like, what's up? And she's like, well, me and Mark were down at a baseball game in a major city. And
Mark is the fiance?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And she said him and his friends have this thing that they like to do. They like to get drunk. And she's like, they like to actually go into a bar and like deliberately like try and start a fight. She's like, he's been doing this for a while. And obviously, I mean, long story short, apparently this has been an ongoing pattern. And she hasn't really told me this until now, of just drunken, childish behavior. And she's confiding in me, and I'm just trying to be supportive and sweet. I was just like, ultimately, I'm like, if this has been an ongoing pattern and you just don't feel like this is going to change, maybe this isn't the guy. So anyways, she's distraught. But, we changed topics, and I know we still text every day. She still seems in good spirits. Then I think at one point, I'm like, none of my business, but did you work things out with Mark? And she said, well, since you've asked, the wedding is off and he's moved out.
What? So did she break it off?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. So I'm like, well, I'm really sorry. She's like,
were you excited though secretly or no?
Yeah. What did you feel?
I don't know.
Like?
Maybe there was a sliver of me that was, because it's like, I felt like I was she got hitched and we'd grow apart again, because we had so much fun together and we just loved being around each other just because we always made each other laugh. We just vibed so well. I could kind of start to see if there definitely was some there, but I'm like, either way, she's still not available. But all right. So with her new freedom, since the wedding was off and he'd moved out, she started spending a lot more time out here and just partying with us as my friends. And again, it was still platonic. We just had a great time together. And this had gone on, I don't know, after she broke up with them, early fall of 2010 into probably late 2010 to very, very early 2011. I'm not 1,000% on
So you'd known each other a long time at this point.
Yeah, even though we had that little hiatus between school and when we met back up at my buddy's wedding. But I mean, we went up to visit my sister who lived about 3 hours away from us.
Oh, you went together to visit your sister?
Yeah, we went up there because it was a football team, and it was an away game, but we just went to their town because that was the hometown. So we went there and partied together and stuff like that. And then there were a couple of instances, I guess, because I think during this time of her being available, that I think there was, well, I'm so naive, but I think it was probably obvious to anybody else that there was clearly some tension building there with the feelings.
Yeah, sure.
And I did notice maybe a couple of little things, but I just stuffed them down. I'm like, I don't think she's really that into me, and that's okay. And she told me years later that there were a couple of things I'd done during that time that were innocuous to me, but they were things that just give the girl the butterflies and melt her heart. Like that instance when we went to that football game in the town where my sister lived. We had to run across the street really quick, and it wasn't in a crosswalk, and you saw the window and you just said, go. But you said, when you said go, you grabbed my hand. Make sure she got across with us and ended up on the other side. And
which seems basic to you, but I get it, where she's like, oh.
I did, because I didn't see that as, again, I think I was probably having feelings that I was ignoring.
This is annoying because I am really locked into this romance and I know it's going to end badly. And I feel like this is a Hallmark movie I want to see.
Well, there was probably a million other things she never told me. It was probably just little stuff like that I was doing that I didn't even realize I was doing, but it was totally giving her the butterflies. But there was still some tension, I think, on my end of the deal too. But I'm just like, I don't think she's into me, and who knows, she might get back with, Mark. I'm like, I'm not going to push it because we're friends.
Were you afraid that would mess up the friendship?
A little bit, but obviously there was some tension building. And when that boiled over one time when she was out here, probably for at least an evening, or maybe it was a whole weekend. I don't even remember, but we partied all night, whatever. We're still in the same bed together, never laid a hand on her. And she's laying on her side facing me. I'm on my back. And we're just laying in bed, shooting the breeze. I'm making her laugh. And I'm like, well, probably going to cook you breakfast and then you can get the hell home. And whatever reason, I'm just like, I had to change positions. But I rolled over towards her to face her on my side. And in doing so, I put my hand on her thigh and hip. And I froze in horror. Like, what the F are you doing? I'm like, don't do this. What are you doing? I don't even know why I touched her. But I'm like, so I freaked out and I jumped out of bed. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, well, what do we want for breakfast?
Oh my gosh,
Awkward.
this is a movie.
So a little bit awkward, but we still have breakfast. We still talk. We giggle a little bit. She heads out. And I don't imagine she was that far down the road. And she's like, well, do you want to talk about this morning? And I'm just like, damn it.
No, I definitely do not want to talk about this morning.
I want to talk about the morning.
I'm like,
Right?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't know why I did that. And she's like, well, you really, really freaked out. I go, I'm not going to hide that from you. I'm like, I absolutely did. And she said, well, we can talk about that. But she's like, we can talk about the rest of it too. And I'm like, do tell. She's like, well, obviously there's kind of been some feelings floating around a little bit. I'm like, I've noticed. I just chose not to act on them. And
because you thought you were doing the right thing.
Yeah. But then, finally we keep talking about it over the course of the next week or two. I mean, obviously we text every single day. There's probably still phone calls on the weekends or something for the fun of it. But yeah, we finally both kind of admitted our own truths and the elephant in the room, that there was probably way more feelings floating around than we were both stuffing them down and didn't want to admit to each other. And I do remember at one point saying to me, she said, Nick, if I have the chance to keep you as a friend for my whole life or sleep with you and risk losing you forever, I choose to stay your friend forever. I'm like, that's probably a smart decision. But
was that her rejecting you think? Or do you think she was genuinely...
it was just, it was like that. But at the same time, at that point, like in me, I'm just like, I have to. I'm like, I've got to try and pursue this. This just feels so right. So,
but it's a nice indication that the stakes are high, that it's like, it would be so sad if this doesn't work.
Well, I mean, we talked a lot about it, more than most people do, instead of just acting on it. We talked it over a lot, and it was just like, yeah. So she admitted that she'd had feelings. I admitted that I did, and I was just stuffing them down. We were totally ignoring everything. And we talked it all over, and we decided that it was worth the risk, and there was just so much chemistry. It's like, geez, we at least got to give this a spin, got to try.
This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. I heard the best story about BetterHelp in the wild. I was at Trader Joe's. I was at the grocery store and I was checking out, and I overshared. The person at Trader Joe's was like, hey, what do you have going on today? Anything fun? And I was like, I have therapy, which I didn't need to say, but I don't have a filter. And then we started talking about therapy. They were like, my sister has the best therapist that she was just telling me about. And it was somebody totally unexpected. And I loved it. They matched my oversharing. They were like, this therapist was not who they thought they would connect with. He was like an older, big dude. And I don't know, she just was skeptical at first, but she has never been happier. I hear about this therapy and I'm just so happy for her. Like, therapy's amazing. And I was like, oh, I love my therapist too. That's great. Where did she find this guy? And they said, what's that? It's called Better. Like, what's that thing online? And I was like, BetterHelp. And sure enough, it was BetterHelp. BetterHelp makes therapy super accessible. And that's why I'm very excited that we get to talk to you about it. You've probably heard about it, but truly, I think everybody could benefit from therapy, no matter what you've been through or what you're going through. Even if things are looking up, even if you're feeling great, it's nice to have that relationship established for when you might need somebody that knows what you've been through. And let's talk numbers, because traditional in-person therapy can cost anywhere from $100 to $250 per session, sometimes more. That adds up so fast. But BetterHelp online therapy, you can save on average up to 50% per session. You pay a flat fee for weekly sessions, And it just should feel accessible. It shouldn't feel like a luxury. It's online, it's flexible. If you need to change your schedule or do it at a weird time because of your job, that's available. You are also easily able to switch therapists within the BetterHelp system. I benefit from therapy. I see my therapist weekly and I see her online and it works great. They have over 30,000 therapists. So BetterHelp is the world's largest online therapy platform, having served over 5 million people globally. I think your mental health is worth the investment. Your well-being is worth it. Visit betterhelp.com/TDD today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/TDD.
So she comes out again for a weekend hangout, but at the same time, there was this awkward tension like, well, this isn't going to be your normal hangout.
Yeah, so, that's so much pressure. Oh my gosh.
It was. And you know what? I don't even remember. I remember we went upstairs. She's sitting on the edge of the bed. I'm just standing there. And it's just, the awkward tension, you could just cut it with a knife. Mm-hmm. And I just looked down at her. I'm just like, yeah, we're doing this, I guess, right? And I remember I think she grabbed me by the hips or something like that and pulled me on top where we started making out. And brain went black after that. But it was out of this world amazing, just incredible to like actually really have all those feels in the room. Mm-hmm. And just, remarkable. And then, it's over and we're both catching our breath. And she just says, holy shit, Nick, I didn't think it was going to be like that. And I'm like, me neither, I guess.
Like, you guys are down bad now.
Holy cow.
Can I ask, this is such a trope in romance where it's like the friends forever finally get to be together. I have not personally experienced that. Like, how did you feel? I would imagine it's just so overwhelming. Like, yes, it's good and surprising, but also this is like monumentally life-changing, far more than like a first date that goes well.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Obviously, with all that stuff that I'd been kind of stuffing away, and then we made this jump to become intimate. Obviously, I'd been in several relationships over my life, and they all didn't work out and came to an end. And we just weren't compatible. But here, with our history, we'd already been kind of, I guess, like pretend test dating, about that the whole time. And it was just like the chemistry's off the charts, and we just clicked so well. There was never a silence. It was always like, you just bring up anything absurd and boom, conversation just flows.
Oh, I'm so mad that you're here. I really want this to work out. Keep going.
Now, where are we here? So, obviously, the sex has started. Obviously, with the distance, she was still getting out here to see me. It might have been much as like once or twice a month early on. And then there maybe be times where, it might have been 2 months till I would see her. But then again, she's coming out.
Still texting every day.
Oh, absolutely. Okay. Add volume. Mm-hmm. Sharing everyday thoughts. And what are you doing today? Oh, I'm doing this. Like, holy crap, let me see it. Stuff like that. Just, we shared every part of our days with each other, whether it was boring or exciting. So this just continues on. And we really haven't defined anything, I guess, other than, we're seen in public and it's obvious to everybody, what's going on. And so she just keeps coming out and spending time with me. And yeah, in a backhanded way, I probably mentioned she's my girlfriend. I may even actually use those words. And that was never a term that was rejected. The pet name started, calling each other babe, baby, dear, that kind of thing. And she's still coming out, spending time, sometimes maybe full weekend, sometimes, just maybe in an afternoon, an evening, and part of the next day before she'd go back home. And I'd offer to come up, spend time with her, but she's just like, no. She goes, I absolutely love it out there. It is so beautiful. It's quiet.
I didn't even think about that. You don't visit her as much.
No.
Ever?
No, I didn't. She's like, she was very passionate. I want to come out and spend time with you. She goes, it is so beautiful out there. It is quiet. I'm out of town because there's nobody here. You open up the windows at night in the summer, you hear frogs and crickets, and that's it. So she was very, very into that. And obviously I'm like, I'll honor your wish, but I'm like, I'll happily come spend, the night with you or whatever. She's like, no, she goes, I need to get the heck out of this town And she goes, and your house is my happy place. So even with this relationship being long distance, and granted, there were some droughts where maybe I wouldn't get to see her for 2-3 months or something like that, and then maybe I'd see her maybe cook up a couple times in a month, and then maybe another drought or something like that. It was sporadic, but still regular. And we kept talking to each other, and she several times throughout this whole relationship, she had asked me, did I still talk to so-and-so, an ex of my past who I'd fooled around with a little bit even after our relationship was over, leading up to me and Jen getting serious. And there was actually another one too that she'd asked about, like, do you still talk to them?
Yeah, she's like feeling out if y'all are exclusive or not. It sounds
I said, I will be honest with you. I go, I do still talk to the one, but what that consists of is I wish her a happy birthday, and then she will wish me a happy birthday. That is pretty much the beginning and end of that conversation.
So no daily talks like you do.
You're just on good terms.
No, I told her, babe, you're the only woman in my eyes more times than there's stars in the skies. So, I made that very abundantly clear that I'm like, and at some point I'm like, the science is settled. I'm like, this, I'm so deep in with her that there's just no turning around.
So just giving her that reassurance.
Yeah. And so, the relationship continues and we keep,
Would you say I love you?
Yeah. And this continued on for years.
Wait, when you said years, how many years is this going on?
Years?
Like 2, 5?
8.
8 years?
Wait,
of this long distance?
Yeah.
Wow. And you would sometimes see each other consistently, sometimes a little bit less.
Yeah.
And during that time, was there anybody else in your life or anybody else in her life?
No.
Y'all were just together long distance for 8 years.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Okay.
I need to hear more about that. So did you, how are you feeling about like getting married, having kids? Were you thinking about that?
But that did get brought up, but I think that was very early on. And she didn't ask me, how do you feel about marriage and kids and stuff like that? I'm just like, ugh. I told her, I'm like, I don't even know if I ever want to be married. And I'm like, and right now the kids thing is like a no. But at that time, I had a sister that had 2 kids. And then I had another sister that had 8.
You were an uncle.
Holidays at mom and dad's were a madhouse, and all those kids running around screaming. I mean, for me at that age, when I just enjoyed the freedom of not being tied down, no responsibility to the kids, when I go there to that absolute crazy thing of all those kids running around at once, it's like...
It's good birth control.
It was a birth control PSA every time at mom's. So that kind of shied me away from that because it's like, I'd leave there like, what a nightmare. She'd asked about that, and we talked about it. I'm just like, I just don't feel I'm ready.
Really? Okay.
And she'd asked a couple other times over the years, like, not about the marriage thing so much, but she'd asked about the kids. Like, do you still feel the need, or do you still feel like you'd ever want kids? And I said, I'm like, I just don't even know if I'm a mature enough an adult to bring a child in the world. But I'm like,
I'm a 30-year-old child myself.
Yeah, no kidding. That's a mature thing to recognize.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure every parent you ever talk to will tell you, like, you're never ready. You just do it. So I'm just like, I don't know if I'm even ready to do that. But I'm like, and then even the later years, that question had come up again. And I go, I don't know specifically. I'm like, I feel like it's getting a little later for me in my years. But I'm like, but the desire to mentor young kids is there. I do enjoy that because obviously my friends around me all have little ones and stuff like that. And we're taking them out hunting and fishing, and I've got nephews and nieces. And so I'm like, I'm the cool uncle. It's like, yeah, we can go do that,
And then give him back.
And she's like, you're such a cool uncle. You're the funkle.
The funkle. Yes, the funkle.
She's like, you're so sweet. So
Did she agree with you? She was kind of on the same page with kids?
She did, actually. She's just like, no. She goes, I don't think I want to. And from the moment I met her, she had some health concerns. She actually told me that she'd actually got pregnant, I believe, like very tail end of high school. And then she'd ended up losing the pregnancy a couple of months in. And for whatever reason, they found that to be fishy. So they get checking some stuff out, and she's got a brain tumor near her pituitary gland that's right in the middle of your head.
Oh,
I'm like,
what?
it's not a great place to have one of those. So they did surgery to remove that probably back when we were just friends. And well, anyways, obviously they're keeping monitor on that. And she also had cysts on her ovaries.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously they went in and removed those.
And this is for real stories? Like this isn't pretend? We've had some pretend diseases, but this was for real?
Yeah, these were for real. I mean, I know that she showed me pictures of the scans and stuff like that. Because the cyst thing kind of kept happening. You'd go a little while and it's like there's a bunch more popped up. We got to go in and look them out.
The most painful thing.
Yeah. And I mean, I know. I mean, I'm laying in bed and I'm tracing my fingers on the little bitty scars on each side of her abdomen where they went in to, take them out. And then the brain surgery thing, obviously they're monitoring that. It's getting bigger and it's affecting things. I know there was a really long while where she told me that she didn't even get her period.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's right by the pituitary gland. It's going to mess up hormones and all that kind of jazz.
Yep.
Wow.
So at one point, she was talking to me about it, that she's going to go in and they're going to do another surgery. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, well, like they feel like they're going to get it all this time and maybe this will be the end of it, or, what's the plan forward? She's like, they said I got a 50-50 shot of making it. I'm like, ugh, please no.
I know that devastated you.
Oh my God.
I don't even really want her to do it. My brain's telling me you found your forever person, and it's just like, and son of a bitch, you might lose her.
Yeah.
So I didn't handle it appropriately as I should have. And she kind of sensed that, and she kind of pulled back a little bit from telling me all of the details and stuff like that.
Did she feel because you weren't being supportive like she wanted you to be?
No, I was supportive. It's just, but maybe not as supportive as I should have been, because it freaked me out.
Yeah.
It freaked me out. So
overwhelmed. Yeah.
She's got this 50-50 shot at the second brain surgery.
Were you invited? Like, were you ever?
I did ask.
Yeah. Was she
I'm like, do you want me to be there?
Coming?
She said, no, I don't want you there freaking out in front of my family. If this goes south, I'm just like, so
but her family knew about you, right? Like they all know that you're in a relationship, or this is something that you.
I haven't met them, but when the surgery was taking place, her sister had her phone and was texting me some updates.
Okay, so you're fully in, like, they know you are boyfriend.
I'm not a secret, at least as far as I know.
Good information to know. All of this does conceptualize, though, why it is comfortable to be in a long distance thing. Like, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of unknown. You trust each other. You're comfortable, and you're not necessarily focused on the future yet.
No, we weren't.
Because at first I was like, 8 years.
Yeah. So, I mean,
somebody's got to make some moves.
Back in like 2011, when we started making this physical, Jen is a voracious reader. She's got her nose in a book about any free time she has. And then this is when Amazon started coming onto the map. Well, talking to my buddy's wife, and she's also a big reader. And she's like, well, you can get a Amazon Prime account, and then you basically have access to like the whole library. So I'm like, oh, dude, this is a slam dunk. So I buy her Amazon Prime. I'm like, here you go, babe. I'm like, happy
That's
birthday.
A love language right there.
Happy birthday. And obviously at some point, Amazon becomes something else than just books. And then after that, we shared this Amazon account, and both our cards are in there, our address in there. We're buying stuff sometimes for each other, sometimes just for ourselves. Mm-hmm. And then we look at the order history, and you make crap out of the other one for buying something weird. Like, what the hell is that for?
Yeah.
Just giving each other crap, stuff like that.
100%.
Who else needs a new TV show? I'm very excited to tell you about Pulse, which is new on Netflix. It just came out April 3rd. You can be one of the first people to watch it and binge it and DM me about it. So it's a gripping medical procedural drama. It's set in the cutting edge Miami Trauma Center, and it's kind of a fresh, elevated, propulsive take on the genre. And it's around medical cases, but also, of course, the dynamics of the residents. The professional stakes are high. Every episode circles around a medical case, but also the emotional stakes are high and the relationship stakes are high. We love stories like that. I'm excited to watch it, and I do love talking about TV, especially with y'all, because we have similar tastes. So let me know if you watch it. Watch Pulse. Came out on April 3rd. Watch Pulse, only on Netflix.
Was there at any point where you felt so strongly about her that you wanted to marry her and like wanted to?
Yeah. I did. Me and her went to a concert. I found out through a friend that there's a Counting Crows concert that was going to be played in a barn. So I took her to there, and it was amazing. But I remember they started playing the beginning riff of Round Here by Crows.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think she remembered telling me one other time too. She's like, yeah, that song started and you just reached down and you grabbed my hand. And then we just looked at each other for a minute. And then we just looked back at the band and I just held her hand. Aww. So that song always hit hard for us. I mean, she would get up earlier than I would in the morning, go to the gym. And she'd send me a picture like it was playing on XM radio. I really like Counting Crows. I'm like, good music day. And there was other songs that were like that. But yeah. And I told her, like at the end, this doesn't end great, but I did tell her that I had many fantasies of dancing with you at our wedding to Round Here by Crows, with the Counting Crows.
Oh, God.
So yeah. So no, it was in the back of my mind, but obviously with the distance and stuff like that, and things weren't getting like better toward the end, I'm like, I'm not going to buy a ring just out of nowhere.
Were you frustrated by that at all?
Not really, because it was just like, it's there. I still have her. It's just, this is an idea. We joked around all the time that this relationship is messed up. I'm like, it is, but it's rewarding. It is.
It was
we just
working.
clicked so good. Yeah, we couldn't stand to not talk to each other.
You can't ignore how well you're clicking, basically.
Oh, yeah. It was so obvious. And like I said, I'm pretty oblivious to that kind of crap. So then in 2018, she tells me that the cancer has come back. And this time it's stage 3. So I'm not seeing her anymore after this goes on at late 2018.
Wait, you said you're not seeing her anymore?
No, she was mentally not well, given her not great news. She's always had some issues with anxiety and things like that. And obviously there was some fights and some friction about, I wanted her to obviously spend time with her. And she said, Nick, I am going to therapy 2 to 3 days a week. I am heavily medicated for anxiety. I'm journaling every day, and it's a struggle to even leave my house right now.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, I understand, babe. And I'm like, I'm here for you. You just talk it out. Anytime you want to talk about anything, we can talk whatever you want. We were still talking to each other every day, but she just didn't have it in her to see me in person. Like, I'm just here to help. She's like, I just can't do it right now. I'm like, it's okay. But yeah, that kept getting brought up.
But that makes sense. And you have a job. It's not like you can leave all the time to be with her anyway, but she needed that.
And I think around this same time, the late 2017, 2018, my dad was terminal, getting really sick. He's waiting on a double lung transplant. I'm waiting to see. Everybody can see the writing on the wall. His number doesn't get called pretty quick. This is going to be over with pretty fast.
Yeah.
So I come home from mom's, and like that was probably the first time that it actually really started to get under my skin that my dad was sick. So I just come home in the garage. I start having a couple beers, and I'm talking to Jen and said, babe, I'm like, I don't want my dad to get any sicker. But I said, will you do me this solid? I said, if my dad dies, I go, will you please at least come and stay with me for a couple of days for comfort? And she said, of course, babe, I'll be right there. All right. So she's still having her issues. My dad ends up getting a transplant. So happy story there.
That's amazing. Is he doing well now? Oh,
so
I'm sorry.
He lives well for a couple of years. It was great seeing him that way. He could do stuff. I mean, he had a idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis. So basically, like the inside of your lungs just scar up and get hard, and they can't transmit blood to the oxygen to the blood anymore. So basically, he's just slowly suffocating because his lungs are junk. He gets a transplant though, and he's great. He's doing stuff. He ends up getting chronic rejection. Anyways, he passed away April of 2020. And
I am so sorry. Oh, that's so hard.
Okay. I mean, we've adjusted, but yeah, that's a milestone for people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So obviously I'm talking to Jen, and she's, giving me some support. And so then we make the funeral arrangements, and we come home. And I remember my mom asking me, she come up to me, she grabbed my arm, and, her voice is just so quiet and soft because she's so broken. And she says, Nick, is Jen coming? And I'd already been told she couldn't. So then I had to tell my mom why. And I'm like, with the whole cancer thing, we discussed it. She had the original vaccine, but she still is immunocompromised. And I'm like, I understand if you don't want to put yourself at risk. And then she said, on top of it, she goes, I have like the worst case of pink eye. And I'm like,
oh,
and a sty on my eye. And she actually sent me a Snapchat of that. So I'm like, yeah, that's pretty bad. So I told my mom, I'm like, she's worried about COVID with her cancer. And I'm like, man, she's got pink eye really bad. And she's like, okay, well, I mean, that'll come up later, the pink eye part.
Okay. Did you see her at all during COVID once everybody was on lockdown? Yeah, I bet not.
No. The last time I physically saw her would have been late, or probably a couple of times in 2018.
Wow. So this has been long before COVID that her health has made it so that she can't come to you.
Yeah.
And what kept, obviously all of this health stuff is going on, but between your relationship, like what was fulfilling enough?
I think the long distance thing was fine with me early on because the frequency of her visits was, I guess, probably really enough to sustain a healthy relationship. And just this unbreakable bond that we had for each other, we just couldn't bear to be apart. We were in each other's minds all day, every day, and just with no escape. That was the only thing you thought about. It consumed you. So it was just, as the frequency of her visits and stuff like that had dropped off, the actual communication part of it remained static and just as vibrant as ever. So I guess because I just been bonded so tightly to her and we were so close and connected, that even though the physical neglect had become to be more and more and more, it was still, she is too special to me to just bail at this point. Because, I mean, yeah, it's silly to maintain that kind of a long distance relationship, especially when the physical neglect actually starts to become an issue. But, you know, one guy's crazy is some other guy's, she's everything I've ever dreamed of.
Mm-hmm. So, absolutely right.
Yeah.
So that was why I was so bonded to her and so deeply and madly in love with her that I was willing to keep continuing to accept less just to maintain that, because the communication part, not so much as a speed bump. It remained, you know, endearing, sweet, funny, romantic, spicy. That part of it never, ever wavered. So that was always, and I guess I was accepting of more than I was really deserving of. But when you find your forever person, you're going to make some big sacrifices and be totally okay with them in that moment. So,
yeah, because you would want nothing but like you do anything to keep them.
Absolutely. But still, when I would plead, like, can I come see you or you come see me?
She would say no.
Like, I can't. She's like, I'm just this crippling anxiety. She's like, seriously, I can't even function in public.
So she can't come see you. You can't come see her, but you're doing well with your long distance relationship.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there was no part of you that was like, I want to move to you.
Yeah. Did you guys ever talk about moving?
And I think she'd mentioned, like, she goes, I just don't think I could ever like see myself living out in the country like that.
Did she ever offer for you to come to her and live?
No, we never. She's just like, we both had our own jobs, and like, I don't know. I guess maybe we were both nervous to uproot, to make that jump. But again, hadn't seen her since 2018. But this keeps continuing on. Obviously, we never miss a beat. It's still, I love you, babe. Good morning, baby. All that. I would still send gifts, even though at one point she said to anxiety, she goes, I get anxiety so bad when you send me stuff. She's like, because I didn't get you anything. And she goes, it just makes me feel really weird and it upsets me. So she's like, please don't do it. I'm just like, okay. And like I said, daily chats, everything's perfectly fine. We're still wild about each other. Can't stand to not talk to each other. So fast forward to February 9th this year. It was a Sunday. It was Super Bowl Sunday. Obviously, we've been talking all day. At some point back it had been after 2016, we switched over to using Facebook Messenger just because we liked the platform better. It was easier to share things. We weren't using the network. We aren't even Facebook friends.
Why not?
Well, she has like 2 posts.
Okay. Oh, okay. So she's not a big social media girl.
Yeah, one's a picture of me with a football mascot from like 2009, back when we were just friends. And another picture is a picture I sent her of like a sunset on the lake where I live.
Mm.
And obviously she's not a user of Facebook. So I'm like, why do I need to be her friend if she doesn't use it? I have unfettered access all hours of the day anyway.
Yeah.
That's such a guy thing to say. I feel like I would be like, I still need access to every possible way I can have
100%.
access.
It never bugged me. And I think we actually talked about it a couple of years ago and said, I'm like, it just occurred to me. So I'm like, I think I might have looked at it or something like, we're not even Facebook friends. She goes, I know a lot of people that are married that aren't Facebook friends. So I'm just like, well, I'm like, it's not a big thing I'm like, I don't really give a shit. And she's like, why?
There's nothing you're missing out on. Yeah.
No. But then I noticed in our Facebook Messenger chat, she changed her profile picture. It was always the state school mascot. That's just what her profile picture was. And it had been that way for years. Mm-hmm. So she changed her profile picture. So I'm like, Jen has a new Facebook picture. I have to go check this out. And she says, LOL, oh Lord. So I go to Facebook. I look, like, there's her picture. I'm like, she looks fantastic. And then whatever reason, I'm like, I just scroll down to see if there's any mentions or tags or whatever. And I'm like, I scroll down a little bit. I'm just like, wait a minute. I'm like, that looks like her ex. I'm like, well, I haven't seen that guy since 2007.
Oh.
I'm like, all right. I'm like, well, what's this guy up to? Maybe they're still friends. I don't know. But then I'm like, he's holding a little baby. I'm like, well, good for you. And I'm
a
like,
baby? Oh,
yeah.
Lord.
Did he comment on it?
Well, yeah, I'm just seeing this post for the thing, but I see there's like 6 pictures. So like, I like click on the pictures and I'm like, okay. I scroll. I'm like, okay, he's holding a baby. And I'm like, I'm not reading any of the texts with it. I'm just looking at these pictures. I'm like, the next picture, I'm like, it appears to be what was probably likely the grandfather. And then the next picture is a picture of Jen laying in a hospital bed with the bonnet on, the IVs, the admission bracelet. And you can tell by the smile, they're handing her a newborn baby.
Wait, so she had a baby and you didn't even know?
Mm-hmm. So then obviously I noticed she's tagged in it and they're announcing the birth of their son. And his birthday would be late August of 2019.
What?
So the kid's like 5-ish, 6 now.
Oh, wait, what day did you see this post? Or did you discover that she had a baby?
Super Bowl Sunday.
Of what year?
What year?
This year.
2020.
Wait, have y'all been talking this whole, wait, hold on. Oh, blessed Jesus.
Wait, I need to know what was going through your head. So you see this picture of her getting a baby. What happens?
Well, first it's denial. I'm like, this isn't her. I'm like, this dude married some chick that just looked like her. And then I just look at it and I'm like, but then the subsequent pictures, since I think maybe this was a repost or something.
Oh, God.
There was a subsequent pictures of Mark, Jen, and this baby. And obviously he's increasing in size as these years pass. And they're at a college football game. They're at a hockey game. They're at a college basketball game. And then I'm like woozy. I'm just like, wow. I go, well, I think me and Jen should probably have a discussion about this.
Yeah,
like,
you fucking think. Oh, my God. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Is that all you thought or what was?
Well, obviously I'm just kind of in shock. I don't know what to think. I'm just like, for one, I'm like, you had a baby. And I'm like, and you kept it from me. But I'm like, and now I realize the kid's like 5. I'm like, dude.
Wait, but how long had it been since she had a baby when you found out she had a baby?
The kid's like 5. I mean, the kid was born August of 20.
You just now found out.
Yeah.
This is recent, like recent months ago, recent?
We're not to 2 months yet since I found out.
Wait, and y'all have had, whoa, bro. Okay, so wait, and what year did you meet her? 2011?
2001 in college. But
Way
then
back.
we separated and met her in 2007. And then we kind of become friends. And then like probably end of 2010, early 11, we made it a thing. And we were intimate all the way up until the pregnancy.
And wait, so and then after since the pregnancy, the kid's like 5 and you guys are still in a relationship?
Well, I guess over the phone, talking every single day, nonstop.
Almost 15 years?
Mm-hmm.
And she has a baby that you didn't know about?
She has a whole other life that I don't know about.
So how do we find out about the details? Do we go to her immediately? What do you do?
After I found that out, I just texted her back. I said, well, I regret looking now. I go, being nosy wasn't really good for me. And she says, LOL, why? I said, well, I see you had a baby. She replies, and that's it.
Who does she think she is?
So then a little bit later, I said, well, just finding out you're the other guy and you started a family years ago and you've been led on for this long. I was kind of hoping for a little more than, and she said, I know I have 8,000 things to say to you right now. She's like, I didn't know how to let you go. Okay. So we have this text exchange. She leaves me on read for a couple of days because I'm like, Is there are things looking any better on me getting some closure here? She told me, I'm not ignoring you. I'm just trying to get my thoughts together too. And that was kind of her way. She has no
right. Sorry.
That was kind of her way. However, I'm trying to play cool. My life's falling apart. I'm still in shock over this.
What's your day-to-day during these 3 days? Are you going to work? What are you thinking? Yeah,
and just absolute
suffering. Are you talking to people?
Yeah. Well, okay, so we had a little exchange that night. I didn't sleep at all that night. I was up all night. Luckily, I had already had Monday scheduled off after the Super Bowl. I told my mom. She kind of keeps it together, but she's wicked pissed. As far as the Facebook thing goes.
Yeah, how did she think that she was going to get away with that?
Well, she was very, very careful. That's why she wasn't a big user, because anything that was ever posted or she was tagged in had to be approved by her. And then my sister explained to me and showed me that, no, she goes, I do it to my boss. And she goes, okay, so this is a tag of me and my kids. And you can see how it is okay to be viewed by friends and family only. And obviously must be a friend to her boss on Facebook, but then she can specifically pick his name.
Hide from a specific person.
And associates of. Yep. So him and his whole circle will be excluded. So all of my friends are friends with her on Facebook, even though I am not, but none of them could see anything at all on her Facebook profile that would tip them off that she has this whole other life. So nobody will tell Nick that I have this whole other life that I'm hiding from him. And then further digging, for best I can tell, she got married in June of 2016. My mom found an obituary for his grandfather, 2012, in the spring. She was listed next to his name as, significant other.
So they'd been together all that time.
She was my date for a wedding in the fall of 2011, and she was a date for my wedding, another wedding in the fall of 2012. So I'm a mess in the days after discovering this, and me and my mom and my sisters are doing research, trying to figure it out. And then finally, she texts me and she's ready to have a conversation, I guess. When she finally opened up and started talking, she's like, I'll try and paraphrase the best what I can from my memory without just reading.
You don't have to paraphrase.
I'm like, I've been up all night. I'm like, to find out that you went to this level to lie and deceive someone that you obviously carried feelings for. Yeah. And I'm like, why would you do this? I'm like, there had to have been a million off ramps for you to take, and you blew by every effing one of them. Mm-hmm. To end this with me, she's like, I didn't know how to go back to being friends. I'm like, well, at whatever point you decide you didn't want to be friends with him again, maybe stop sleeping with the guy. Ooh. These are all good starters. And I said to her, hey, I understand that if you chose not to go forward with me, that's an awkward conversation to have. But I'm like, you could have done the right thing here, and you probably could have saved some semblance of a friendship we could have had down the road.
And I'd rather be out with the truth.
And kept me forever in that way. Instead, you went this route because you had to have me. And then I kind of started, now I'm getting into response. So I kind of blew up. I'm like, I'm not interested in putting a timeline of thing together, because at this point, I didn't know how far back it really went, which at this point, did he even move out?
Ever? You think maybe they were always together?
Well, they were engaged. They were going to get married. The wedding was up. They didn't get married till 2016. So maybe there was a very brief window, but still, we started doing it probably, let's just call it beginning of 2011. But she was listed in the spring of 2012 as being a significant other in an obituary with him.
So if anything, it was maybe just the weekend. And even if so.
Well, and I've been with this person since we've been intimate and talked every day for the last 7+ years, and 3 years before that. So 10 years now of that level of trust. And there isn't a tinfoil hat big enough to assume that someone you've been with this long and been through so much with is actually doing something like this to you behind your back and keeping you totally in the dark.
Yeah.
And looking back, there were some other things that should have been red flags. I remember asking him, there was some stuff for a car that she didn't have. And she's like, I'm getting them for my nephew. He just got a car. So, everything was just so easily explained away because I was so blinded by love. And why would I think that this person was lying about something that
you don't think that way.
That was right in front of me. If you're trying to get away with something, you're better at it than that, right?
Yeah.
And then the part that burned me later is going back through it, looking. It's just she was buying stuff for that baby.
Oh my God.
Just here and there. And now here's the other thing. She wasn't there for my dad's funeral to be with me because she had pink eye from changing diapers on her 8-month-old so she couldn't come be with someone at his lowest point after having a relationship with him for over 10 years.
Wow.
Because you have a baby and a husband, and it's getting really hard to sneak out for fun time with your country boy toy and some good sex when you got a husband and a baby at home. Getting pretty hard to sell the lie.
At this point, it's like, is everything a lie?
Well, believe me, I went down that road. So I'm like, the cancer thing. Like, was that truth? Is that true?
Yeah, was that true?
I don't know that. I
still don't know.
My sister told me, though, she said, I will tell you that like elevated levels of estrogen are horrible for tumor growth. And I don't know any of that to even be true. If maybe she's full of crap. I don't know. But she's like, so like doing a pregnancy, especially when you're at that stage, maybe it was remission or something. I don't know. But she's like, either way, it's like kind of playing with fire there. And I'm like, I don't know. As far as the cancer thing, I would like that not to be true, despite what she did to me. I don't want her to have cancer.
Right.
I mean,
you don't wish that on anyone, but you're like, would you use that to lie? Unfortunately, as we know on this show, people do.
She had an entire life that she hid from me, but at the same time, she carried on this massively intricate web of lies to make sure she had this web of just everything that I needed.
So what happened next?
Well, I think when I was yelling at her in the Snapchat that I was like, when I was yelling at her in our message exchange kind of there at the end, I said, I'm like, I'm not interested in a timeline. I go, what I want to know is, I'm like, you've had this whole other life you've kept from me. I'm like,
yeah.
What was it about me that you had to keep me as a pet and get the rest of those needs met by your husband? I go, what quality of being a good man to you was so important you couldn't bear to let it go, that you had to have it and get those other needs met by your husband, because obviously you had to have something. And she said, the need of being my best friend. I said, well, Jen, I think how it's supposed to work is you're supposed to find that person that you know to the very core of your being is your best friend in the world, and you're supposed to hold on to that person forever. So I go, by this metric, you might have married the wrong person, but I digress. And yeah.
Boom.
That's on you now.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And she's like, I didn't know how to go back to being friends. I'm just like, come on, dude.
That's, yeah.
I'm
so
like,
basically she's saying the momentum was so great, I couldn't stop it.
Yeah, I couldn't stop it. And she's like, obviously, I think there were feelings there and she knew it had crushed me. But I mean, at this point, you'd already walked the plank so far that it's just like, and I told her, I'm like, you had the luxury of knowing this day was coming. I go, I didn't. I got it all at once. The love of my life laying there in bed with a baby she had with her husband 5 years ago, I knew nothing about. The best friend I had in the whole world betrayed me to this level. Plus, after that, my entire emotional support system that I've had for most of my adult life is now gone. Like that. I have nothing. I have nothing. And I'm like, and every other thing that you've ever done for me, every magical moment that we shared together, the passionate lovemaking, just all those magical moments in between, I go, you can't even let me have that. I'm not going to know how genuine that was. And I go, so all those feelings I thought I got right back from you that were so just as pure as the driven snow, all that now is now going to have to forever stand in the shadow of what you did to me.
Yeah.
To rob someone of agency in their own life, to be able to make their own informed decisions, and to make it known that you were jealous and you didn't want me seeing other people. Meanwhile, she's getting screwed any old time she wants, but she's going to rob me of that. I mean, that really chaps my ass. So yeah, I was just basically wasting all my years. Even in our last exchange, I was kind of freaking out and just speaking from the heart. But I told her that I'm like, yeah, this whole thing going. I'm like, you were getting laid anytime you wanted, but yeah, I couldn't. And I'm like, I was even celibate because I couldn't do that to you.
Did she ever express being concerned about you telling her husband?
Yes. Good question.
No, that was never discussed.
Did you ever think about it?
Would you like to read she waited a week after we kind of had it out. And I was very polite during it because I showed my sisters and they're like, wow, you were really polite there. I'm like, I needed to keep the conversation going because I needed some answers because this is, whoa, this is wacky. Let's see here.
Get more bees with honey.
Yes. Read us the receipts, please.
I will read you her last message to me that came a full week after we'd last spoken. She said some heartfelt things in there. While I do find those are very likely true, some of those, but given the whole nature now of what I know, I kind of feel like, was that her really pouring her heart out to me, or was this damage control Jen worrying that I'm going to burn this whole thing down?
Yeah, she thinks you're going to blow up her life. Okay, let's hear it.
So it says,
we'll be the judge of that, Nick.
Yeah, it says, hey, I just want to tell you I am sorry. You deserve so much better than what you got with me. I was a selfish asshole, to say the least, and you did not deserve any of that. From the moment I met you, I have been absolutely drawn to you. I never really understood why, but can only assume now that it is because you are my soulmate. You have been what has gotten me through most days and were the absolute highlight of them all. There isn't a morning where you haven't been my first thought and a night where you weren't my last. I know you don't believe any of my feelings were real, and I don't blame you for thinking that, but please know that they were and are. I'm extremely thankful for all the memories that I have with you because they are some of my best and I will cherish them forever. I don't look at a sunrise or a sunset and not think of you, along with the other 1,000 things, other things daily that remind me of you. There are a million things I want to say to you, but I will spare you the time of reading anything more. I hope you find someone that makes you as happy and that loves you as much as you deserve to be loved. You really are one of the good ones to ever exist and are the whole package.
And she took full advantage of the fact that you are such a wonderful person.
Mm-hmm.
And I really don't like her. I'm really not.
It's kind of the stance my sisters and my mom took, yeah.
And I'm being sweet the way you were trying to be sweet because I could not be.
Nick, I'm so sorry.
I know. Wait, I need to hear, so this is fresh. How are you?
Yeah,
and
so what happened?
How have you been?
Yeah, what happened after you found out? Were you just reeling?
Yeah. I didn't sleep and I didn't eat for, God, I don't know how long. And I still was suffering and going through and going to work. And just because I had to, just for the nature of the job and was just weather related. But I mean, to tell you, there's the absolute agony to just have to go out there every day and fake being yourself.
Yeah.
Was excruciating. All I wanted to do was curl up on my couch and not talk to anybody. And I mean, it did feel good to talk to people.
Sure.
I called my mom plenty to just give her reassurance. But then when I told all three of my sisters all these wild and crazy details just to frame this. So I'm like, you guys got to understand, this wasn't some pen pal that just decided to break things off with me. You don't know how deep this rabbit hole goes.
No, this was a dark, twisty, kind of sexy, intimate, but also best friend. This was an everything relationship.
She was in every part of your life.
Yeah.
So yeah, I didn't sleep, didn't eat. And then I started drinking. I mean, I've always drank beer, stuff like that. But then all of a sudden it's now I can't stop.
Yeah.
So there were some long drinking binges. There was one that was a 12-hour drinking binge. There was an 18.
Just to numb it.
There was a 27-hour one. I mean, no food, no sleep, just standing in the garage drinking beer. So I'm still talking to my sisters, all three of them, multiple times a day, sobbing on the phone sometimes to them. Finally, I admit my situation, that I'm not getting any better. And this is, in fact, really, really bad. And then my sister's kind of in that game a little bit. And she's like, I said, I'm ready to start some therapy or something here.
Good for you.
I have zero to lose and only everything to gain.
Yep.
So, I mean, and that was kind of
tough. And had you ever been to a therapist before?
No. I mean, out here, out here, the sticks like this, nobody ever mentions going to therapy and stuff like that. Because
no one wants to talk about that.
They're so-and-so is going to therapy. It's just like, oh, Jesus.
There's a stigma.
They're crazy.
Take the knives off the table. They're coming over. They're crazy.
Did you, when you thought about therapy, were you like, oh God, I don't want to do therapy. I don't want to seem crazy, or I don't want to seem stupid, or whatever?
I was so accepting of it at the time. Just I have to do something here because I'm just spiraling out of control.
So you were ready for anything just to kind of
I was.
help.
And I told my one sister she's in the game and would kind of know people and know where to look. So I said, listen, the only thing is it has to be a woman.
Well, how come?
Yeah.
I don't know if it was just that level of comfort I had with Jen all of these years, or the fact that I grew up with a mom and a dad and three sisters as all those women. I mean, I swam.
So you're used to that's familiar to you and safe to you.
And the whole macho bravado thing and stuff like that. I'm not going to cave to some of these wildly personal details about my sex life to a guy, I'm not going to cave into that. And I'm like, so that means I'm going to keep that wall up, and that's not what you can do in that place. You got to let it all go, man. So
can I ask you, Nick, as a guy, like we don't get a lot of guys telling their story, and I'd like to hear from you maybe why you think that is. But I want to know, when you say you don't want to share details like that with a guy, why is that? What makes it different for you?
Maybe it's just that instinctual, like you don't want to show any kind of weakness or something like that. I don't want to just give them like wildly personal stuff, be like, what a weirdo, you know?
Yeah. A woman might be more sympathetic and understanding.
So I got a therapist, and that helped, just talking to her. I was just struggling, grasping at straws, reaching for answers. And I mean, I think a lot of it was like, since I'd never been through anything like this before. Yes, I've had relationships that went sour. Yes, there's a little bit of heartbreak at the end of it, but they were never to this level. And there was never this level of connection and love that I had for someone. So this was just so brutally devastating on so many different levels that it was just, I just couldn't even process it. So I was seeking validation for others, and I just kept asking them the same dumb question. Like, I go, can you just be straight with me here? Is this just a bad breakup and I'm taking it like a little bitch? Or is this just so horrifically bad that all of these feelings and what I'm going through is actually like warranted? And they're like, most of them were, all heartbreakers are the same. Your situation is different. And then there's others just like, no, this is bad. This is bad.
Yeah, heartbreak is bad, but okay. I can't.
Like that's what I want to hear. I got a big heart, but I'm actually tough dude. It's just like, but to be cut down to this level is very humbling, and that's why,
and it's not weak to show vulnerability or sadness or intimacy, and that's a hard thing, especially when you feel you've been rejected.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's, I don't know, maybe that's why that was such a safe space with Jen, because I was always. There was no topic to anything, and I would just, it didn't matter what we were talking about. It was like, I didn't have to think about what I'd said. She
was typing. Your best friend too, it sounds like.
Yeah, I would just start typing, and it didn't matter if it was just pouring right on my heart and soul. It just went right into words and hit send. I didn't have to edit anything or worry about what I was going to say. It was just like, just say anything you want and go.
Have you, from the time you found out all of this until now, it's only been a couple of months, where are you at now? Like, have you found that there is healing? Are you still super hurt? Like, do you feel like you haven't moved on at all? Like, what are your thoughts now?
Well, I had been doing the therapy thing for a little bit, and I was still drinking at the time pretty heavily. And then my mom and my sisters were, obviously they're talking to me, and I'm aware there's conversations that are happening about me behind my back, and I'm okay with that. But then mom's freaking out. She's like, I talked to you the other night, and she's like, it's gone very dark. And I'm like, probably, yeah.
It's affecting you a lot, basically.
Oh, yeah. She said, whatever it is about you, she's like, something has drastically changed, and it's gone very dark now. Aww. So I finally admit, like, this is not getting any better. We are still sliding bad. So I made the choice. I finally, I'm going to go see about some anxiety medication or something. And I woke up on a Saturday, and I just decided, you know what, the hell with it. I'm going to go. I'm like, I don't want to wait till Monday just in case I have another bad day again. So I go into the doctor's office, and they sit me down there. I'm like, there's only one doctor on duty that day. This is a small clinic. I'm waiting in the waiting room for 30, 40 minutes, which usually when there's more doctors on hand, you don't ever wait there that long. And then they put me in a room, and anyway, doctor shows up. Nice lady. She said, hey, she goes, I am so sorry about the wait. She said, I pulled your chart earlier, and I saw it was for anxiety medication. And she goes, I have anxiety that I'm on medication for. So she's like, do you want to tell me what's going on? And I said, I got a bad breakup. I said, for starters, I want to know, I don't have a scale at home. I go, what did I weigh at my last visit? And they're like, oh, you were here in January. I'm like, I knew I was here pretty recently. I'm like, what did I weigh today? And she's like, okay. I'm like, well, how much weight did I lose? She goes, 25 pounds smooth? I go, every bit of that was in the last 30 days.
Wow.
And her eyes got really big.
That's a lot.
So, I mean, I wasn't sleeping. I wasn't eating. I mean, food did not interest me at all.
Appeal to you at all?
No. And I mean, I figured out too, there were days I went to work, and I mean, even having lunch there, didn't even eat it. It's like, I don't want it. So yeah, she sat and she talked to me, and we actually had a lot of fun because I told her, what was going on. I was in a bad relationship. I was in a relationship for like probably 15 years plus with this woman, and we talked every single day. And then she kind of looks at me and she's like, so you like physically saw this person? Thinking I'm like getting catfished and it's just an online thing. I'm like, oh no, we were sleeping together for a long time too. And then she's like, oh wow. And I'm like, and then she's married and had a baby. And then she's like, I swear a little bit. I said, you could say anything you want. So
I swear a little bit.
So she's like, now she's up walking around the room, like pacing a little bit. And then she sits down and she's like, you don't have to tell me anything you don't want to. And she's like,
but
and
also
then
tell me all the things.
Yeah. She really wanted the gossip too. So it was just like, but it was so fun just watching her wig out. That validated that this was such an epic shit show that she was losing it. And yeah, so I left there. I got my medication. Oh, and during all of that too, I mean, at one point she was wigging out so much. She's out of the chair and she's leaned up against like the exam table because I'm just sitting in a chair. She's like stretching her back and she's like, she keeps asking questions and every answer she answered was just like, holy shit. And then she's like, oh my God. So I listened to this podcast. It's called Dating Detectives.
You listens to us?
And she goes, you have to contact them because there's never any men on it. And she goes, and they are going to want to hear this.
Her name Catherine?
Yes.
Catherine!
She's like, they are going to want to hear this. You have to contact them. So in the whole wave of me feeling good after our funny little interaction and watching her spaz out over this and her tell me about it, I came home for the fun of it and I found you guys and sent you an email. And then I started listening to the show. And, you know, there's some really, really horrific stuff there. And obviously my story is way different. There's no financial strain or physical peril. But, I mean, there was still a massive, massive betrayal.
There's no competition. No. Yeah. Betrayal trauma for sure.
It did help a little bit. And my medication started working a little better. And it really pulled me out of the dark place.
I'm so happy for you.
Do you see yourself on the upswing now? Like on the
totally. Yeah. And I think I was, before I finally got put on another medication because the other ones just weren't really seeming to pull me out of that
It's
hole.
hard to find the perfect medication.
Finally I got put on another one by Catherine, bless her heart. And that one actually started to work actually rather rapidly. So after that, it's just been a building of just so much better. But I'm like to think, you know, probably even between the time when I started the medication to when I didn't, I mean, I had already made a few notes and stuff on my phone. And I kind of made a decision that I didn't want to do this anymore. So I was actually headed outside, believe it or not, because I didn't want anybody to have to clean up in the house.
Oh.
But I got myself stopped because I said that, you know, doing that for me is going to really hurt a lot of people. And if I do that, one, it's destroy my mother. She'll never be the same. And I'm like, and two, if I just choose to hurt all these people just for me reasons, because it's what I want right now, then that's really selfish. And that would make me no better than Jen. And I'm better. So I'm not going to do this. I'm going to try one more day. And then luckily the meds start kicking in and it's just been a nice constant upswing since. And, you know, things are looking so much better. I'm actually having fun. I'm enjoying myself.
We're really glad you're here. You made a good decision. And I love how you thought about everyone else and decided, even if it's for not to hurt anyone else, that you were worthy just enough to not hurt someone else. And I just think I'm so glad you're here.
And like, I just have that, and it was just giving in. And it's like, that means you lose. And it's like, I don't want to lose.
And you overcame. That's such a strong, I think so many people can relate to that because so many people are faced with those situations where there's like, I don't know, I just feel so heartbroken, so sad that you just can't get over it. And so
I'm tired.
To know you get to that point and then you brought yourself out of it is insane. So good for you. I'm so proud of you.
I had my hand on the door going outside. And I stopped there in the laundry room.
Oh God.
And thank you also for sharing that because
I'm not proud of it because I've never been that person, but
well, I don't think it's anything to be ashamed of.
To maybe be like to be that kind of person or actually be that kind of level of mentally unstable or in that much despair that
I get that.
That was even something that was even worth considering, you know?
Yeah. Well, it's not something to be ashamed of. Also, I think you're shining a very good light on how detrimental these types of betrayals are.
Mhm.
And it can be it's just this, like she being diabolical and
Mhm.
lying doesn't just hurt you. It hurts her child. It hurts her husband. It hurts your whole family. It hurts so many people. And I don't know how to get these dogfish to think about that.
Mhm.
I don't know how to change them. I don't know if we can, but it's so important.
I think it kind of
Talk
goes
about
both
it.
ways with what I was going to do there. It's hurt people. If I was hurt that bad, I was going to hurt people.
Yes. I feel really bad for her husband.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on telling him?
With all that fallout and obviously the level of mental despair I went to, which I didn't think was humanly possible. But I mean, the stance on that has changed as things have gone on. I went days where I'm like, I'm not going to tell him. I don't want to ruin their happily ever after. Just let him live in bliss. But at the same time, I'm like, how do we know I'm the only other guy? This pattern may continue. She might find another gym buddy, and who knows? I don't know. So then I kind of I'm like, I want to tell him. And I'm like, is this out of just petty revenge? I'm like, a little bit, but at the same time, this guy has no idea. And I'm like,
You have compassion for him and you're worried about hurting him.
And I do. I'm like, I am going to destroy this guy's life, just like mine. I don't want that for somebody else, but at the same time, I pass this around to a lot of neutral parties that don't have necessarily a stake in my best interest. And everyone I quizzed was like, yeah, you tell him. So worked on it for weeks. There's a fairly lengthy letter outlining timelines, what went on, a lot of apologies to him. And I'm like, there's going to be some sexual details in here, but you just need to know how deep this rabbit hole goes, things like that. So where I'm actually at with that is I've got some contact info for him, and I was going to email it to him. But however, talking with my brother-in-law who's in IT, sending it to his work email address is a bad idea because that system is so secure because it deals like Department of Treasury and stuff like that. And from what I know from talking to Jen, that's not going to make it through.
They'll weed it out.
They can't click any outside link in an email from any unsecured source at all. So I have his actual phone number.
You haven't thought about calling him?
I don't know if my number would be blocked. About 2 days after this happened,
Call
I
from
could
a
see.
different number.
I'm also a little bit of a sissy on actually doing it, but
No, I get that's a very hard.
But I don't know the implication of me or my phone number or something like that coming through because 2 days after this happened, I could still see his Facebook and then gone.
Well, she probably went in and blocked you on.
I don't know that. Or did she already give him some sort of elaborate cover story in case he starts to hear something through the grapevine about me and just say, hey, you do remember my friend Nick, right? Well, he started to get all weird. And, he's,
sent me.
He's talking about the child.
There's receipts.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I can, but I'm like, but what I don't know is I'm trying to keep myself out of the very first step other than the email. And all I want to do, because I have no control over what happens after that email gets sent. But after I worked on it that hard, stressed on it that hard, all I want to do is I want to make damn sure it ends up in front of his face and he sees it. My sister, I think, is going to message him from an outside app and just be like, hey, you don't know me, but I have some extremely important things that you need to know about your wife. Yeah. But I just can't have me involved because if I try and reach out to him and he recognizes my phone number or something like that, and I'm all blocked and everything, he could just simply say, like, don't contact me or my wife ever again. And I mean, so that gets me nowhere. So I just need somebody to kind of nudge him. We get a little email, and then after that, kerbang.
Yeah.
So that's where I am there.
So you're basically saying you want him to know, you just want to do it in a way that you'll be able to.
I just want to make sure this thing gets to him and he sees it because I have no control. That's the last thing I can be in control of. And for the amount of effort that I went through this, and my sister helped me because I was such a mess. For the amount of effort I went through this thing needs to land home. And who's to say? I mean, this pattern could continue down the road. And
you just have to know that whatever choice you make, you have to live with it. And
I know, and I even state that in the letter that I feel awful for this. Because I'm going to have to forever live with myself knowing I'm the guy that might have ruined your happily ever after with Jen.
No, it's not your fault. Never your
Jen
fault.
ruined it.
And then I go on to say,
Jen ruined
but if the roles were reversed and I was you, I'd still want to know.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of where I think you're in the right space for sure. Like having a support system and then asking, what would I want?
You deserve to know that the woman you married isn't the one that you think you did. You deserve to know what's behind that mask. It's just like, I'm pulling back the curtain and we're all going to see the wizard. So, I mean, the level she took this to conceal her involvement from the two different men in her life simultaneously was a very well thought out, concerted effort. And without my support system, I don't know where I would be right now. And shout out to them and my mom especially. And I mean, there's been some other close friends too, but my sisters, they really had to sit there and take it and listen to their brother just call and sob about his bullshit every day. When this all happened, so obviously there was a physical addiction to the dopamine hit you got from hearing back from her, you know, a message.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, it didn't have to be flashy pictures as anything naughty. It was just the conversation was just such a part of your everyday life.
The dopamine high of hearing back. Yep, 100%.
So even the days after this, like, I'm still like a zombie. I remember one time I was actually eating and I seen something funny on, I was at TV or I was scrolling through Facebook while I'm eating or something. And I'm like, I saw something funny and immediately I saved the image and then I put my fork down and I grab it with both hands because guess who I'm sending it to? Jen. Out of physical habit, I'm going to send it to her and I had to stop myself. And then like I'm going to work and I just keep reaching over and squeezing my phone just to see if there's notification, you know, and she's not there. And then there's a couple times where I know my sisters did everything they could, but I mean, they still had their own lives too. And maybe sometimes I was calling at an inconvenient time and they would call me right back. But the call and get that voicemail and it's just like, there's nobody there. And it was like that one really killed me a couple of times because it was like, for one, there was a lot of times where I had to work up the guts to call them because I'm like, I know I need to talk to somebody, but I just don't have it in me to hit send. So I stared at a black screen on the phone and finally then I did call and then they weren't there. Then it was just, that just, but I just kept persevering because I had this motto a long time ago when I felt really, really overwhelmed and stuff with stuff I thought it was way out of my league and over my head and stuff like that. And your feeling of helplessness is your best friend. Yep. Because sometimes it's the help you didn't get that helped the most. So, you know, you got yourself into this mess and you got to get yourself out of it. Obviously, in this case, I could not do this alone. And thank God I had all those people to help me because who knows how that one ended without that. So,
yep. I'm so happy you had them. Man, that is just so much. I just can't believe you've taken all that on. And this is so fresh too. I'm just so grateful for you, Nick. We really love you. Thank you. And so many people are going to appreciate you sharing this.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Whole bananas.
How much do you love Nick, first of all?
I love how compassionate he seems to be. 15 freaking years, dude. And you're still like, your number one thought is other people are going to be hurt. First of all, I love that compassion and that just thoughtfulness of others. After what he went, like imagine loving someone for 15 years, being so loyal to them and giving them all of you just to know it was all a lie. And not to say that her love for him was like, she probably really did love him. Like, how do you go on for 15 years and not actually love that person?
Well, she was using that love. Like she loved that he loved her so much, I think. And
I think she found herself loving him. And then she had like this momentum in the relationship. And she just, I genuinely feel like she probably got herself into a situation where she accidentally fell in love with him. And now she didn't know how to end either relationship. And then it's like, which one do you, whatever. So like, I get that. But also you're hurting this person just for them to find out in the 15 years that you have this child. Oh my God. I can't imagine.
It gets, I mean, the fact that she had to go through so many hoops to keep it from him goes to show that she knew her behavior was wrong. And I don't really care 100%. Why they do it. Like, you just can't do that to people. And you're right. His impulse control is to be admired greatly. The fact that he wasn't like, I'm going to go burn down the house. I'm going to go barge into the husband's office and tell him what's going on is huge. And I would love to talk about the informing the spouse. Hopefully we get updates. I think he really thought through all the options and there's no right answer. I know a lot of you have the right answer for you, but But I do think the answer changes person to person, whether or not to notify them.
To be clear, I personally don't feel like there's a right or wrong answer. I also like that he didn't just go blurt it out right away.
Yeah.
I like that he's thought about it. So now he's not doing it in a place of revenge. He's doing it in a place of, I feel like this is the right thing to do. And whether or not you agree with him at any part of that, I feel like that's something that he feels is the right thing to do. And I support him either whatever he chooses.
Yeah, we're going to get updates for sure because this happened, 2 months ago he found out?
Yeah, 15 years. And just 2 months ago, this ended.
Well, that was another thing about the story. Like when we asked, like he said, this went on for a few years. We were like, oh, like 2 years? He said, no, 8 years. Like they were in a long distance relationship. They were pretty independent the whole time, but not in a way that I feel like, I don't want that to sound like I'm blaming him. I think the relationship worked for both of them really well in a way that made it even harder to go through this for him.
Mm-hmm. And when you love someone that much and for that long, like he said, he had no reason to think she would ever lie to him. Like he knew her blood type.
I was like writing down the little things that she did that probably we can learn from as signs. So I honestly, I guess I knew that you could hide things from people on Facebook, but I didn't really think about how you could hide from specific people. I know you can do that for your Instagram stories.
Yeah, you can do it on Facebook too. You can say post for everyone except, and then you tag the people that you don't want to see it or whatever.
So that's good to know. I also didn't note it at the time, but then after the fact, they were talking on Snapchat a lot. And you know what you don't get in Snapchat? Receipts, as Mackenzie likes to say. So that could have been strategic. She made a real boo-boo getting them on Facebook because he found it. But what else did she do that was a good? Oh yeah, she was just like, her excuses were great. They all made sense to me. Yep. And she did it like he knew her from before. They were friends first. He validated all these things about her. I guess he could have Googled, but like, you don't think that way. You don't think that she has a husband and a baby.
Mm-mm.
It's not his fault. I'm not saying it's his fault. I'm just saying, what can we learn as we move forward?
Diabolical. I am so speechless, but also I have so much to say.
I know. I mean, I'm so happy he found medication that's helping. That's huge.
Yeah. Don't ever feel like that. And that's the thing too, is like the stigma behind mental health, like the stigma behind getting therapy and like mental health stuff, even for guys. Like it's okay to seek out therapy. Yeah. Like that's all right. And this guy is proof of that. And I love that, you know, a thing that humans need is that community. They need to know they're not alone. It's not just girls. Guys need to know that too.
Everybody.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's a decision with your doctor and it should be ongoing. Mm-hmm. I will never, if I think, I don't, you know, who knows in the future, I don't see myself ever getting off of the medication that I've got on because I've never felt more like myself. Mm-hmm. And it was an emotional feeling to get on medicine like that because you're like, wait, I didn't know that I could feel this way. Mm-hmm. And if that's situational depression, which I'm not a doctor, I can't diagnose, but it does, from what I know, sounds like that was definitely what was going on. Mm-hmm. Or like something you've been dealing with forever. Like it is amazing. And I had a conversation with a friend who was worried about seeking medication for this because he was like, I don't want to change who I am. Mm-hmm. And this is the analogy I came up with. And you tell me if it speaks to you. I was like, does going to the gym and exercising change who you are as a person? I don't think it does. Does it make me have more energy and feel a little bit more alive and feel stronger and feel like a better version of myself? Yeah, I'm not changing who I am at my core, but I am allowing myself to just feel better. And that's how I see that medication.
That is such a good
Doesn't
point.
That make sense?
And guys and girls both go to the gym. Like mental health is health. Sexual health is health.
Yeah. It's such a journey. I'm just proud of him for doing it. What else do we have? Anything else that you took away?
I just really think that it was interesting that he found comfort in the fact that even his therapist was like, this is bonkers. And I think it's cool how at first, and you heard him say, I heard the other stories and I was like, mine's nothing like that, but it's not the same. There's no physical violence, whatever. But he is a prime example of how it doesn't have to be anything violent or crazy. It's just a matter of just the lying itself. And when you think oh, I'm so stupid. And then you hear the other stories and you're like, oh my gosh, this is not just me. I am not alone. And that's why that telling these stories is so important, because you just never know how your story or your experience is going to help someone else.
Also, what you just said made me think about his suicidal ideation, because was there physical abuse? No. Was there violence? Yes. Like, look at how he felt about himself after that experience. And we talked about it with him, and I'm glad he went through his mental processing in that moment and what got him out. I mean, when you get to that point, it's a illness. It's mental illness. And I hope people don't feel like a failure for having moments like that, because it's real and it sucks.
It's a human experience. It's not your fault. So many of our guests have experienced getting to a point. Remember the blackmail story? Experience getting to a point where they just feel so helpless. They don't know what to do. And they're like, I don't know what else to do. I feel so stuck. I can't win with the stalker case. Like, I can't get over this stalker. I can't find this guy. I don't know how to stop him. And, with the blackmail, like all these different things. And you get to the point where you're just like, imagine being someone who drives someone to the point of wanting to end their own life.
I mean, he used the word monster, and I concur. It's very sad to me. And I hope she gets the help she needs.
I'm excited to hear what our listeners have to say about his story. And did anything resonate with you? Was there anything that you were like, man, I didn't expect this from a guy? I want to know what you guys think. So keep the conversation going on our social media, and please continue to share it. When you guys, we are so grateful for how much you share.
His doctor, Catherine. Yep. I love you, Catherine.
I know. And like, when you guys share, we appreciate it, because it's just that sense of community just keeps growing for others. And it's just widening the range of people that can feel more heard and more empowered and more inspired. So we're really grateful for you guys. Thank you.
Did you guess it? Did you think she had a husband and a baby?
No, I was like, what did she do? I was like, what did she do? Like, she did something. Why she killed somebody? What did she do?
Well, I thought when he said they had a shared Amazon account with all their information, I was like, oh no, does she have his credit card information? Is she going to find a way to get his money?
Financially duping him, yeah.
Yeah, I'm curious what other people thought along the way, because I really did not see a baby, especially because half the story she had was that she was having trouble with fertility related things. So I definitely didn't expect that. But I guess, she found a way.
God bless. I just bless him. I'm so curious what happens on his date. Like, I want to know so bad.
I know. And if you know any men who have been through something, or anyone who has been through something and they just need a place to share, you can tell us your dogfish story, or even if you have like a job fish, a friend dogfish, any other kind of dogfish, we could read them on Patreon.
Yeah, I really hope this kind of sets the example for other guys too. Like, it's okay to share your story. And there's this guy clearly to be at a point where he didn't feel like he wanted to live anymore. But then his therapist told him about our show, and he said, oh my gosh, I went back, I listened to the episodes, and I felt so much less alone. He literally said, I felt less alone. That's powerful. So dudes, you're masculine and strong all the live long day, but we know that women are not the only victims. Like, it's okay to say like, hey, this chick freaking dogfished me. I want to tell my story.
Man, it would be so hot for a guy to be really vulnerable on a podcast and like be supportive of other victims, survivors, whatever. And also just learn and grow, and also therapy. Yeah. All of those things are the hottest, most masculine things I can think of. Okay. Spread the word.
100%.
Spread the word.
So yeah, if you know a guy, or if you are a guy who has a story, or anybody, please send us your stories. But men are welcome too. I know it's a lot of females that you hear, but men are welcome here. Everybody's welcome here. Our email address is investigate@thedatingdetectivespodcast.com. Send us your stories. We want to be an ear or a platform for you. Thank you for sharing. Join the Patreon. The link to it's in the show notes. It's $5 a month, not $7.50.
And get your merch before Wednesday.
Yeah. Get the Dating Detectives merch and represent, and share it. If you get the merch, share it on your social media. We want to see.
I cannot wait. I love you. And this was a tough one, but he seems like he's going to be okay. And
so grateful for Nick. And go join the Patreon for sure. That's where we do a lot of our updates and stuff. So
yeah, if he gives us updates, we'll tell our Patreoners for sure. Well, and also we can have femtuition, themtuition, mentuition, whatever you want to call it. We all have it. It's when you've been through something like this and you got to start looking at the world in a way that keeps you on guard.
Call it whatever you want, baby.
Trust it.
Trust your femtuition.
Trust your femtuition. Amen. Love you.
Okay, bye.